friends. It's episode 10.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. It's the Holly Jolly episode.
It is the Holly Jolly. Are you feeling holly and jolly, Teresa?
I am feeling jolly. Yeah.
Okay, this will make you feel holly jolly. Here we go.
Okay. Oh.
Doesn't that just make you think of snow and a sled and kids all getting pulled around and laughing and just Santa? And
it reminds me of the sleigh bells that Mom and Dad had.
Yes.
And remember when we were little, we were constantly maybe starting at 2 a.m. going, is it Christmas yet? Is it Christmas yet? And they'd say, not yet.
Yeah, we'd be yelling from our bedroom.
Yeah. And then finally they got the sleigh bells. So when it was doing air quotes Christmas, when it was fine with them for us to wake up, then they would jingle the jingle bells. So that sound is not only Christmas, but it's specifically our Christmas.
Yeah. Good memories.
And that's what holidays are about.
Exactly. It's all about the memories and the love and the excitement. It's just good times.
And actually, you know what? I messed up because we didn't say, is it Christmas yet?
Has Santa come yet?
Has Santa come yet?
Has Santa come yet? Yes. Oh my gosh, we must have driven them insane. We yelled that over and over.
You know, I think that's the thing with us being 3 sisters together, because my daughter was an only child. And I'd have to wake her up on Christmas morning. She'd be holly jolly once she came down and everything, but you'd have to wake her up and she'd go, 10 more minutes, please.
Oh my gosh. I guess we kind of probably worked off each other and kept that excitement. You know, we'd sit in there and giggle and listen to A Christmas Carol on our old record player. And yeah, it was fun. But you know what I did today, Teresa? I watched my favorite Christmas movie of all time. Do you know what it is?
Is it my favorite Christmas movie of all time?
Maybe.
Is it White Christmas?
Yes. Sisters. Sisters.
Sisters. Na, 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 sisters. No, words can be tricky.
Yeah, words are inconsequential.
Yes, that's White Christmas. No, yes, it's White Christmas. Oh my goodness.
That's hilarious. Yes, it's White Christmas.
If I had just said, is it sisters, then I would have been right on.
Well, if I would have said, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, then you would have remembered. Yeah. It's totally my favorite. I have to watch it at least once every holiday season. So that was this morning. Yeah, so good times, good times. I'm ready. Everybody's getting excited around here. What do we have? About 3 days till Christmas Eve, I think 3 days.
Actually, when the listeners hear this, it's going to be Christmas Eve or Christmas morning, depending on when they download. So happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Happy holidays. And that's kind of why Teresa and I actually thought it'd be fun to have a themed episode this time in honor of the holidays. And I was watching White Christmas, and I don't know if you remember, Teresa, at the end when they have the big Christmas tree and they're singing the actual theme song, White Christmas. And Bing Crosby brings, I forget what the actress's name, behind the tree. Anyway, he holds up some mistletoe and they kiss. So it had me thinking about mistletoe. You know, I love that tradition, but I never knew what the actual lore and legend was behind it and how that even got associated with Christmas. So that's what I want to talk about.
That's what I want to hear about.
Oh, good. I'm glad, because it would be really hard for me to think of something else in the next 2 seconds.
Oh, we're going to hit the day when I go, nah, that's boring.
I know. That's going to be really devastating for me. You wouldn't do that to me on Christmas.
But not at Christmas.
Especially because it's my birthday, too.
It is your birthday on Christmas. Happy birthday on Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you.
But back to mistletoe.
Yes.
What, how, why?
And when and where and all that stuff.
Yeah, all the W's with Y's and H's in them.
I've got W's and all sorts of other letters. So here we go.
Okay, give me the T.
So I'm giving you the lowdown on mistletoe. So mistletoe was long held to have supernatural powers, which, okay, you got me with supernatural. I'm all into it.
Yeah.
So the actual plant is an evergreen, which not only thrives on trees when they've actually lost their leaves, but even produces juicy berries in the depths of winter. So this vitality in the face of apparent death makes it easy to understand why mistletoe was sacred to ancient peoples. And so much lore has actually become associated with it. But before we get into all of the lore and the legend, I want to talk just a minute about what the plant is and how it grows, because that actually affects some of the legend.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So mistletoe is actually a partial parasite. And as a parasitic plant, it grows on the branches or trunk of a tree and actually sends out roots that penetrate into the tree and take up nutrients. But mistletoe is also capable of growing on its own like other plants, and it can produce its own food by photosynthesis. However, it is more commonly found growing as a parasitic plant. Most mistletoe seeds are actually spread by birds that eat the berries with the seeds inside. And depending on the species of mistletoe and the species of the bird, the seeds can either be regurgitated, ew, excreted in their droppings, ew, or stuck to their bill, where they end up wiping it onto a branch.
Yeah.
I can take that one.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the most pleasing. Yeah. But it's interesting, I had to say all of that because the name mistletoe actually comes from one of these methods of seed dispersal.
Oh, Lord, please let it be the being stuck to the bill.
Unfortunately not. Mistletoe actually comes from two Anglo-Saxon words, missile, which means dung, and tan, which means twig or stick. So you could actually translate mistletoe as poo on a stick. Not exactly romantic.
That makes me want to kiss my honey.
Under the mistletoe.
Under the poo on a stick.
Exactly. Honey, get some poo on a stick. I want to kiss you. Yeah. So there are actually two types of mistletoe. The mistletoe that is commonly used as a Christmas decoration is actually native to North America and grows as a parasite on trees from New Jersey to Florida. The other type of mistletoe is of European origin, and the European mistletoe is a green shrub with small yellow flowers and white sticky berries, which are considered poisonous. It's commonly seen on apple, but only rarely on oak trees. The rare oak mistletoe was greatly venerated by the ancient Celts and Germans and used as a ceremonial plant by early Europeans. The Greeks and earlier peoples thought that it had mystical powers, and down through the centuries, it became associated with many folklore customs, which we're going to get into. From the earliest times, mistletoe has been one of the most magical, mysterious, and sacred plants of European folklore. It was considered to bestow life and fertility, protect against poison, and be an aphrodisiac.
Well, yeah.
Now I can see where the kissing comes in.
I mean, first of all, you're welcome, dear listeners, for the fascinating trivia that you'll be able to share with your family about poop on the stick. I just have to say.
That's our gift to you.
Yeah, that's a gift. But also, like, who would not be aphrodisiacally affected by poop on a stick?
I like that word, by the way. I'm using that.
Aphrodisiacally.
Yeah.
Ecclesiastically.
Ecclesiastically or aphrodisiastically?
Yeah, probably we better go with aphrodisiastically, and you're welcome, world, for that word. But please, I digress.
You do digress, and we're getting into some juicy stuff, so.
The poop on a stick. Okay, go ahead.
Right? I mean, it's hard to move past that, isn't it?
Somehow I never thought this podcast would involve poop so heavily.
But, on a stick or off a stick. But
I mean, regardless of,
Okay. All right. Moving on. Let's see, where am I? Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, yeah, because aphrodisiac property, there's properties of sexiness in
You're
there.
killing me, Smalls. You're killing me. So the mistletoe of the sacred oak was especially sacred to the ancient Celtic Druids. The Druids, which were the pagan priests of pre-Roman Britain, had a ceremony on the 6th day of the moon nearest to the winter solstice when they would hail the moon, asking it to heal all who were sick. This ceremony involved a sacrifice of 2 white bulls and the holding of a banquet under an oak tree on which, and of course this is the vital part of the ritual, mistletoe was growing. So mistletoe was their symbol of everlasting life. Wearing white vestments, the Druid priests climbed the tree and using a gold sickle would cut the mistletoe, and it would be caught in a white cloak below. And when this was done, he would descend from the tree and then they would sacrifice the bulls. So not too good a tradition for the old bulls there. Not so great, but
We have all the elements now. We have poop on a stick and bull sacrifice.
yes. Who knows where this segment is going?
This is so freaking holly jolly. I cannot wait.
Holly jolly, folks. Well, and the tradition of hanging mistletoe in the house also goes back to the times of the ancient Druids as well. They believed it possessed mystical powers which brought good luck to the household and wards off evil spirits. And in Norse mythology, mistletoe was the sacred plant of Frigga, goddess of love, and the mother of Balder, the god of the summer sun. So Balder had a dream of death, which greatly alarmed his mother, for should he die, all life on earth would end. So in an attempt to keep this from happening, his mother, Frigga, went at once to air, fire, water, earth, and every animal and plant, seeking a promise that no harm would come to her son. Balder now could not be hurt by anything on earth or under the earth. But Balder had one enemy, Loki. Loki is the god of evil, and he knew of one plant that Frigga had overlooked in her quest to keep her son safe. It grew neither on the earth nor under the earth, but on apple and oak trees. It was lowly mistletoe. So Loki made an arrow tip of the mistletoe. He gave it to the blind god of winter, Hoder, who shot it. Well, that makes a lot of sense, giving it to the blind god to shoot it. I'm sorry, but you know.
That's who I would give the arrows to.
Yeah, but apparently, blind or not, he is a good shot because he struck.
Yeah, I got one.
Oh, words can be so hard.
Words are hard when you have a podcast.
It's so hard. But he actually struck Balder dead. The sky paled, and all things in earth and heaven wept for the sun god. For 3 days, each element tried to bring Balder back to life. He was finally restored by Frigga, the goddess, and his mother, because it said that the tears she shed for her son turned into the pearly white berries on the mistletoe plant.
Oh.
And in her joy, Frigga kissed everyone who passed beneath the tree on which it grew. So the story ends with a decree that who should ever stand under the humble mistletoe, no harm will befall them, only a kiss, a token of love.
Oh, that's lovely.
Isn't that lovely?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought that was a beautiful legend, lore about mistletoe. So much nicer to think about than poo on a stick.
I know. We went from poo on a stick to a symbol of everlasting love and never harm shall befall you.
Yes, exactly.
We got so much more holly jolly.
Exactly. So, Teresa, moving on. The Greeks actually also thought that mistletoe had mystical powers. And I'm sorry, I'm starting to think it has mystical powers. I mean, all these different cultures and generations and,
Right?
there's got to be something there.
Right.
And all the way down through the centuries, it's been associated with all these stories. So there's got to be something. In the Middle Ages, women thought that they could increase their chances of conceiving if they tied mistletoe to their waists. Hey.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's how babies were born, but maybe. I don't know. Times were different then.
I mean, I'm thinking, okay, move on. Yeah.
In Europe, it was believed that the oak mistletoe could extinguish fire. This was associated with an earlier belief that the mistletoe itself could come to the tree during a flash of lightning. So the traditions which began with the European mistletoe were transferred to the similar American plant with the process of people just immigrating and settling in the States. So they had all these beliefs and it just kind of migrated over. The tradition that most of us are familiar with, kissing under the mistletoe, is first found associated with the Greek festival of Saturnalia and later with primitive marriage rites. They probably originated from two beliefs. One belief was that it has the power to bestow fertility, and the other was the belief that the dung from which the mistletoe originated would also possess life-giving power.
Well, that's literally true.
Yeah, well, that's true. Yes, life-giving power. The seed actually was able to implant into the tree, so it did produce life. In Scandinavia, mistletoe was considered a plant of peace, under which enemies could declare a truce, or warring spouses could kiss and make up. Later, in 18th century England, mistletoe was formed into a ball called a kissing ball. At Christmas time, a young lady standing under a ball of mistletoe, brightly trimmed with evergreens, ribbons, and ornaments, cannot refuse to be kissed. Such a kiss could mean deep romance or lasting friendship and goodwill. If the girl remained unkissed, she cannot expect to marry the following year. In some parts of England, the Christmas mistletoe is burned on the 12th night, lest all the boys and girls who have kissed under it never marry. So there's a lot of stuff with that.
So many rules to this.
So many rules. I mean, goodness. First, they want you to get kissed under there so you'll get married. Then they're afraid if they don't burn it that you won't get married. Yeah, it's very involved. One variation of this tradition stated that with each kiss, a berry was to be plucked from the mistletoe, and then the kissing must stop after all the berries have been removed.
Yeah, it does.
So I guess you're out of luck. If you're too late, the berries are gone. Obviously, this tradition has been known to liven the atmosphere during Christmas celebrations. The custom of exchanging a kiss under the mistletoe can still be found in many countries to this day. Originally in France, I thought this was interesting that the custom was reserved for New Year's Day. But of course, now we know kisses can be exchanged under the mistletoe anytime during the holiday season. And interestingly, because of mistletoe's dark past, especially its use in sacrifices, most churches wouldn't allow the plant through their doors. So there's no real clear indication as to how or why it became associated with the Christmas season, except for the timing of the Druid ceremony, which incorporated mistletoe around the winter solstice. In actuality, the huge amount of mythology surrounding mistletoe made early Christians shun the plant, with one exception being the York Minster Cathedral in York, England, where there's a long tradition of accepting this plant with its pagan background into the church at Christmas. And for centuries, York Minster Cathedral has been the only cathedral in Britain to hang up mistletoe at Christmas. But nowhere in the Minster Cathedral extensive archives can anyone find the reason. What is known is that as far back as the Middle Ages, the dean or the chief resident cleric would first put on ceremonial gloves before formally placing the mistletoe at the high altar. A proclamation was then made of a, quote, public and universal liberty, pardon, and freedom of all sorts of inferior and wicked people at the Minster steps and the gates of the city towards the four quarters of heaven, end quote. In York, this was long held to mean an amnesty for local criminals on Christmas Eve. So if they came to Minster Cathedral, they could be forgiven of all their crimes. For a time in the 19th century, one of the deans refused to continue the tradition of hanging mistletoe in York Minster Cathedral, but today's dean has no such doubts. He says it has an easy Christian meaning for him. The Dean Very Reverend Keith Jones says the way it grows on another tree, as it were, makes it represent living together in harmony, and it's a well-known symbol of affection. So he says to hang it in your church as part of the Christmas decorations, he believes makes complete sense, and all the great Christian symbols have their roots in natural religion. And I really liked that. Because I do believe that. I think all of our traditions, our religions of this time come from much older practices and things, and it's all incorporated. So I thought that was really beautiful.
I do too. And I feel like I'd like to hear more of is it the Right Reverend?
It's a Very Reverend Keith Jones.
Very Reverend Keith Jones sounds like a very smart and kind man to me.
Yes.
I'm going to be looking up information on him.
I didn't even know that was a title, Very Reverend. No. I had to look it up because it was abbreviated, and I didn't know. I was like, I never heard that title in a church before, so that was neat.
I hadn't either, but whoopsie, our ignorance is showing.
I know, it does that from time to time, but I'm totally okay with that. This is a full disclosure podcast.
Unless they start to think we're not human. There you go.
Oh,
but Very Reverend is very nice.
He is. And I really had fun looking up and finding out all about, mistletoe. I actually learned a lot. This was a fun one for me.
Yeah, I think it's really cool, Kim, that the different iterations that it's taken. And at one point, it was very, in a way, sexual, and tie it around your waist and it'll help your fertility. And today, to me, it's much more of a symbol of sort of chaste affection. You can kiss your friend under the mistletoe, or give your hubby a peck on the lips under the mistletoe. I don't think of it as a aphrodisiac.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I look at it more as a symbol of love and unity and just caring for others and expressing your affection during the holiday time, which is really what, a lot of us use this time of year, no matter what religion you are. There's a lot of different religions that celebrate holy days throughout the holidays and throughout this time of year. And it's just expressing to those people in your lives how much you love them and care about them. And it's beautiful.
And you make a great point, Kim, when you pointed out how some of these, religions and modes of spirituality have a basis in something that comes from one before that and one before that. There's all these commonalities that even though Christmas is traditionally a Christian holiday, there's so much commonality and there's so much that can be enjoyed and shared by everybody.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love it when you say things that I said, but you make them sound so much more intelligent.
You just throw in a 3-syllable word and wait a minute, commonality.
Oh, that's way more than,
I don't know, 5 or 6.
That's a lot of syllables.
There's so many syllables and it smartens the whole thing up. So.
Wow. Kudos to you, my love.
Yeah.
So, Teresa, now that we've gotten into the lowdown on poo on a stick,
yes.
I think, shall we take a break? And then I want to hear what you're into.
Oh, yes, but this is a terrible segue.
Oh, it is. Poo on a stick is not good.
Yeah. I mean, poo on a stick is such a bad segue for our really great advertisement that's coming up next. But trust me, it's very appetizing. Stay tuned.
Friends, if you love chocolate as much as I do, then you need to check out Caro Clusters. Caro Clusters are a deliciously addictive sweet and salty chocolate confection. These treats are based on an old family recipe that's been passed down for generations, and now they're available to share with your family and friends, or as corporate gifts, party favors, or just a special treat for yourself.
That's right, Kim. And best of all, you can feel good when buying Caro Clusters, because by doing so, you're helping a social enterprise employing persons with special needs. Caro Clusters was started by a mother and her daughter Caroline, who has special needs and loves to be around people. When Caroline turned 16, she wanted to find a job just like her older brother had when he reached that age. After attending a social enterprise entrepreneur workshop, Caroline's mother was inspired to create a business that would utilize her daughter's social skills, while also offering other teens and adults who have special needs opportunities to participate.
Caro Clusters offers a variety of jobs for every type of ability, from cooking to packaging to sales. This company provides a place for individuals to discover their unique talents and skills. They are committed to take the dis out of disability by providing meaningful jobs for persons with autism and other special needs.
They do take the dis out of disability, but they leave the D in delicious. Go to www.caroclusters.com. That's www.caroclusters.com to order some clusters today. One bite and you will be addicted. Welcome back, friends.
Welcome back.
Kim.
Yes.
I hear Santa on the roof. Wait a minute. Maybe I hear reindeer on the roof.
You hear the sleigh on the you hear the reindeer in the sleigh.
I hear the bells of St. Nicholas. No. But that's a great segue.
Okay.
Because I want to talk about St. Nicholas.
Oh, goody. I thought about talking about St. Nicholas, but I didn't.
Because I want to.
Exactly. I know. I knew it. I had a psychic connection. I was like, oh no, she'll kill me if I do that. I've got to let her do it.
Indeed. Like, who's going to have Santa Claus? That'd be me.
Yes. Good. Lay it on me.
When we decided we were going to do a Christmas episode, first, that seemed like a no-brainer. There's, so many fun things to discuss. But it's actually kind of hard when you like to stay all-inclusive and, not be exclusive of other beliefs and things like that. So I actually kind of settled on Santa Claus because, believe it or not, I feel like he's so inclusive. Mm-hmm. Like, he's the Santa of the secular Christmas. He's the Santa that still you can have if you're religious celebrants of Christmas. And we know people of a lot of different religions that still celebrate Christmas with Santa as well. In fact, we have a Muslim relative that her whole family loves Santa Claus. So,
well, yeah, and they have their own version.
Yes. So, and there are a lot of versions, which we're going to get into tonight.
Awesome.
But first of all, a little disclaimer, at least the first few minutes of this portion may not be suitable for small ears. So if you have a small child with you when you're listening, maybe fast forward a couple minutes. It'll only last a few minutes and we'll be right back to the traditional Santa that's suitable for all. I wanted to talk about the history of Santa Claus first. And as a lot of you know, the roots come from St. Nicholas. Now, there's many legends about St. Nicholas. He was the patron saint of giving, and there's a lot of mythologies both in Western and Eastern churches. St. Nicholas was thought to be born in the city of Patara, from which he traveled to Palestine and Egypt as a child. In Greece, he was known as Hagios Nikolaos, and in Turkey, the Bishop of Myra. He died in 350 AD, and that's the part that maybe isn't suitable for small ears because...
Definitely not.
Yeah, because Santa lives forever, and pretty much after this point he will, but his physical body died in 350 AD. And after his death, his fame began to spread during the Middle Ages. He gradually became the patron saint of Russia, Moscow, Greece, children, sailors, prisoners, bakers, pawnbrokers, shopkeepers,
podcasters,
and basically everybody. He was basically the saint for all the dudes. But it was his role as patron saint of children, along with stories of the anonymous donations he made during his life of gold coins to persons in need, was that combination that probably led to his gift-giving role in Christmas lore. Celebrations of St. Nicholas initially took place on December 6th, and many countries still use this as the date of Christmas gift-giving, although the dates of the 24th and 25th of December are growing in popularity. Generally, Santa Claus is now known as a bearded old man in a fur costume who appears at Christmas and gives presents. This human figurehead of the festive season is a modern creation. Before the 17th century, such a figure had no history. Nobody seems to have thought of personifying Christmas until the early 17th century. It was done then partly because of the general taste of the age for allegory, and partly because the criticism of observation of the feast by radical Protestants made a representation of it convenient to writers determined to defend it. Thus, in 1616, Ben Jonson introduced to the world Christmas, his mask, presented a figure in a round hose, long stockings, a closed doublet, a high-crowned hat with a brooch, a long thin beard, a truncheon, little ruffs, white shoes, his scarfs, and garters tied cross.
Wow, that's quite the getup.
Yeah. He was fancy.
He was fancy pants.
In the 1600s.
Yeah, he was.
Yes. He was.
He's a trendsetter. That nobody caught on.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure he was quite the thing back then. But over the next 250 years, this sort of character was to feature repeatedly in pictures, stage plays, folk drama. He was known as Sir Christmas, Lord Christmas, or increasingly Father Christmas. He was essentially concerned with the adult world at that time, personifying feasting and games. He had no connection with presents, and he was not treated with much respect, being generally a burlesque figure of fun. I mean, with his garters and ruffles and all, and whatnot.
Exactly. I was just thinking, it almost sounds like it was a farce. Like it was like a goof, or, they were making fun of the character.
Very much so. And that at that time, he did not have that connection to St. Nicholas.
Okay.
So at that time, he was sort of a separate thing.
Gotcha.
And he was very much so. He was very much another sort of court jester for the season. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Santa has many different personas, depending on the country that he is currently visiting. In Finland, he's called Jalopuki. Okay, you have got to forgive me my pronunciations.
I'm impressed that you're even going to try these.
I mean, I'm just going to say them confidently, and anybody that's not Finnish? Yeah. Anyone who's not a Finn, I don't know.
From Finland?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So the name comes from the country Finland, and it literally means Yule buck. So you can kind of picture that old-fashioned hale and hearty St.
Yes.
Nicholas kind of guy.
Yes. The hunter, the strong.
Yes. Yes. And actually, that was an old pagan tradition. So then we go back to some of the pagan traditions coming into Christian holidays and other modern day holidays. So pagan tradition remained strong in Finland, but it began to gain a Christian flavor as time went by. Pagan people used to have festivities to ward off evil spirits. In Finland, these spirits of darkness wore goat skins and horns. In the beginning, this creature didn't give presents, but demanded them.
Ew.
The Christmas goat was an ugly creature and frightened children.
I'm not down with that.
It just got dark.
It did. I don't like that.
I'm afraid.
Bring on Hero Santa. We want Hero Santa.
And Hero Santa indeed does come on. It's unclear how this personality was transformed into the benevolent Father Christmas. But nowadays, the only remaining feature is the name. The process was probably a continuous amalgamation of many old folk customs and beliefs from various sources. One can speak of a Christmas pageant tradition consisting of many personages with roles partly Christian, partly pagan, a white-bearded saint, the devil, demons, house gnomes. But nowadays, the Joulupukki,
I love that name.
Joulupukki of Finland resembles the American Santa Claus.
Oh.
In about 1927, popular radio programs probably had a great amount of influence in reformatting the concept of the Santa-like costume, reindeer, and an area near the polar circle as its dwelling place. Because there really are reindeer in Finland, and they really are living up north, the popular American cult took root in Finland very fast. Maybe some caring soul decided the Joulupukki is just too scary for little kids. Yeah.
Yeah, let's not terrorize the children.
So today, Finland is one of the few countries where kids actually see Father Christmas in the act of delivering the presents, and probably the only country where the saint really does ask the children if they behave during the year. I don't know, though, Kim. Maybe it's one of the common places for kids to see Father Christmas, but I happen to know that your children have seen Father Christmas many a time.
That is true. He does like to visit our house. I'm not quite exactly sure. Maybe it's because we put a little something extra in his coffee.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something to keep him warm on his long flights, but
I think it's the extra special coffee, because when I've seen Santa at your house, he is particularly holly jolly.
He has been known to be quite exuberant at our home.
And his eyes do twinkle.
They do, and his nose is red.
So, in the United States and Canada, his name is Santa Claus. It's the American version of St. Nicholas that originally came from the Dutch version of Sint Nicolaas or Sinterklaas. And because the Dutch settlers in New Amsterdam, New York, brought this fun and lively tradition, some even say cult, to America, this version of Santa has given the current myth its visual form and some of these most curious traditions. A merry old man with red and white clothes, 8 flying reindeer, later joined by Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer. That would be some of that special coffee, I think.
Yes.
A home located on or near the North Pole. The habit of filling socks or stockings with presents on the night of December 24th. And the habit of entering houses through the chimney.
Ooh, yes. That's kind of bizarre. Like, how did that happen? Not that you would know, but like, that's a bizarre thought. Just because... How did that come to be?
Like, I feel like all traditions have some little kernel of truth. So I just like to know, like, who experienced some dude coming down their chimney for some reason or another. But
yeah, was that a common practice in Finland back in the whatever that people would sneak in their houses through their chimneys? Maybe so. I don't know. If you're from Finland, please let us know.
Please let us know, and also tell us about, never mind.
Pookie?
No, but that is Finland. Never mind. Tell us the stuff, please. Yeah. But actually, this one is from Amsterdam.
Oh, sorry. I got my places mixed up. But it's still fascinating. I really would love to know how the whole thought process came to be.
Yeah. One of the important single sources of our modern day version of Santa Claus comes from the Christmas poem, A Visit from St. Nicholas by Clement C. Moore. Written for his children in 1823, the family poem was later published for the general public and included what has become the now famous picture of Santa Claus by Thomas Nast. So a little bit of the Santa throughout the world, because, he travels the whole world, and apparently there are wardrobe changes depending on where he is.
Hey, any good entertainer or public person, they can't be wearing the same thing, for the whole thing.
Thank you. And when in
for the
Rome,
whole show.
When in Rome. So in China, he's called Shengdong Loren. In England, his name is, as we said, Father Christmas, and he has a long coat and a longer beard. In France, he's Pierre Noël. In Germany, children get presents from Christkindl in Austria and South Germany, meaning the Christ child. In Germany, Weihnachtsmann. I'm gonna get comments on that, but which means Christmas man, and he dresses up as Nicholas and brings sweets, fruits, nuts, and smaller presents to children on December 6th. In Italy, Babbo Natale, which means Father Christmas, he's Santa. Children put a pair of their shoes by the door on the day before Epiphany, and the following morning they find them filled with small gifts and candy. When I was reading that, I thought, oh, that's gross. They put stuff in their shoes, but we put stuff in our stockings. They started as real stockings.
Exactly. I remember even when we were little kids, I remember at some point we had real socks.
It was socks.
Do you remember that?
I completely forgot. Yes, because they would stretch.
Yes.
How interesting. I had forgotten all about that. So, that's gross. Just so you know.
Hopefully they're clean, people.
So Italy, like Spain and Portugal and most of the Latin American nations or countries that speak the Romance languages, they're mostly Catholic. December 25th is a day of more religious observance, remembering the birth of Christ. So the Epiphany, called Little Christmas, is their day of gift giving. However, Babbo Natale does come on Christmas Eve in some parts of Italy. In Spain, children leave their shoes, again with the shoes. And, and stockings hold more, I'm just saying.
Do you think that Santa has a foot fetish? Because I see a lot of foot references going on here.
Maybe
I shouldn't have gone there, but it just makes me wonder.
But he leaves the shoes. So maybe he's like me, a little iffy about feet and shoes, and that's why he stuffs things in them. Oh, we better skip that.
Yeah.
Okay. In Spain, children leave their shoes under the Christmas tree the night of January 5th, and presents from the three kings appear the next morning. Santa Claus is called Papa Noel, and some children receive presents both days on December 24th from Papa Noel and on January 6th from the three kings.
Don't tell my kids about that. They'll be wanting two presents 2 times.
Oh, and don't forget December 6th.
I know.
So, and some people do 24th and some people do 25th.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so we're up to 4.
I can only afford one Christmas gift giving day. I can't afford 4.
In Japan, Santa Claus is called Santa Claus. or just Santa. Children often call him Santa no Ijisan, which means Uncle Santa.
Oh,
I love Uncle Santa.
that's awesome.
That reminds me of Uncle Bubbly Boots.
Yes, our uncle is super sweet.
Super. And he has a Santa-like beard.
Yes.
Coincidence?
And white hair. Maybe our uncle is Santa.
My Uncle Santa. Well, my daddy was the tooth fairy, so...
Really? I thought he was my daddy, too. So he would be the same.
Yeah, our daddy.
Yeah.
Same dude. Okay. In Sweden, Jultomten visits the evening before Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, pulling a big bag of... Sorry, but he pulls a big bag of Jewel Clapper.
What is that?
That's Christmas presents.
Oh.
But I don't know, Jewel Clapper just sounds like pig intestines or something. So in Norwegian, Pa Norsk arrives on the evening of 24th, and in the Netherlands, he's called Kerstman, which I think was Christmas man. The Russian Grandfather Frost has strong pagan relations. He's always accompanied by his granddaughter, Snow Girl. We're just going to Snow Girl.
Oh, okay. Is it written in Russian?
No, well, it's Sneguruchka. Sneguruchka.
Oh, that was good. I'm going with that.
I feel like it's going to offend, I don't know, any Russian descendant listener I've ever had.
You are an ignorant American. You can't help it.
I am an ignorant American. Anyway, Snow Girl is a merry girl who helps Grandfather Frost provide a New Year party for children, as well as bringing them gifts. So I kind of like, in this version, he's got this granddaughter who's hanging out with him and going on his Christmas Eve, actually New Year's errands with him. He wears a long fur coat covered by bright, beautiful cloth that's either blue or red and trimmed in fur. According to new tradition, Grandfather Frost and Snow Girl live in a town called Veliki Ustug, from which they begin their journey by troika of white horses. Today, Grandfather Frost is connected to New Year's celebrations, but before 1917, he was much more related to Christmas. Grandfather Frost and Snow Girl visit children, asking them to sing or read a poem, sometimes asking if they were good, and of course, giving presents. He's Sinterklaas in Dutch. He's much thinner than the American Santa Claus. Now, why does that not surprise me?
Pretty much everybody's thinner everywhere else in the world, right?
I mean, it's American portions. Jeez Louise.
Yeah. But he lives in the North Pole, so you really can't blame us for that. He's eating whatever in the North Pole it's eating all those Christmas cookies all year long.
That is our fault again. So,
okay. Never mind.
as Sinterklaas, he rides a white horse and he hands out gifts and candy. See, he can just ride a horse because he's much thinner. He doesn't need slaying 8 tiny reindeer.
30 reindeer trying to heave him off of the roof of the house, straining with all their might.
Sinterklaas arrives the first Saturday in November. There's another date for your kids.
Oh, no.
He arrives by boat. In the evenings, the Dutch children sing songs in front of the fireplace or in the living room, and they leave their shoe.
Uh-huh.
Okay, what is it? Okay, they leave their shoe with a present. Oh, like a drawing for Sinterklaas or a carrot for the horse.
Mm-hmm.
And in the mornings, they find their shoes filled with candy and small presents. I'm sorry, but shoe candy just... Yeah, it gives me the EBs a little.
And what about the poor little kid that's got tiny feet? They're not going to get much in that shoe. And like the big older brother's going to have these size,
Oh my
9
God.
feet.
Yeah, Lars,
Yeah.
or yeah,
That seems
true.
kind of like a jip to me.
So on the 5th day of December, Dutch households have a present night and they exchange presents. So we're up to, I don't know, 7 days of presents
Oh my
now.
gosh.
What if we get to 12? Let's see. Okay.
Yeah, well, if we get up to 12, I think I don't know. Santa Claus might just have to retire because I don't think I could fulfill all those Christmas gift giving days. And I'm just thinking that if I had one of those traditions where you put your shoe out and Santa fills it, I'd go to one of those costume stores and get me a big giant clown shoe, the kind that are like, I don't even know, like size 30 or something. And that's what I'd put out.
I think we could easily get to at least 12 days, but I don't think the listeners would have that much patience with me. So I kind of want to leave you with a thought, Kim, and we've talked about Santa Claus, St. Nicholas, Father Christmas, Grandfather Frost, all of these personifications around the world. And basically the reason I wanted to talk about Santa Claus is he brings us all together. So kids all over the world, they know who Santa is. And even though he may be a little commercial, who can help but love the jolly old elf? It's the idea of giving that reminds us we're all on this planet together for the long run. So let's be kind to each other.
I love that. I think that's a beautiful way to leave this special episode with the thought and the feeling and the emotion of loving one another, spreading joy, peace for all mankind, because that's what we all want. We all just want to live in joy and peace and love. So thank you for sharing that, Teresa. That was super fun. I really enjoyed hearing about the history and, all the different ways that he's interpreted. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And I love the mistletoe. And I really, really want to say a very, very special happy holidays to all of our listeners in all the forms that you observe it. And next time we've talked to you, it will be 2018.
Ooh. Yeah, Happy New Year!
Happy New Year! And until then, you know what I want them to do?
Yes.
Stay curious.
Bye.
Bye.